Hi, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Adam.
And welcome back to Star Trek Doesn't Do the Deedly Bop Boo. And welcome back to Mix Minus Recap Star Trek: Lower Decks. Tonight we talk about Episode 7, Terminal Provocations. I had a little spoiler announcement right before we started recording, so I happen to know that my good buddy Adam Burns was not a fan of this particular episode. Adam, what happened?
I can't say exactly what happened. I didn't like it, so I'll say that.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a good episode because Adam didn't like it.
Also, I just wanted to say, I feel like I've been too positive. I feel like a true reviewer needs to really, get in there and, sling the poo a little bit. I don't know where I came up with sling the poo, but that's what they need to really get their hands dirty and not just be agreeable about everything. So I really was sitting there tonight because I watch it right before we do the recap. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm just not loving this one. And I thought, I should say that. So as we go through the parts, maybe I'll say what I didn't like.
Okay.
We'll see.
I feel, of the 6 episodes that have come out, this was probably my least favorite because it felt very disjointed. And yet at the same time, it felt very predictable and kind of boring almost. We had the 3 plots again, and this time we have the bridge crew with Tendi and Rutherford, and then with Mariner and Boimler. And I'm kind of getting tired of those pairings. It's just kind of like, it feels like we just always have a Rutherford and Tendi story. We always have a Boimler and Mariner story, and we always have kind of a bridge crew. I don't mind having a bridge crew and then a Lower Decks story, but I kind of want to mix up the Lower Decks a little bit because I'm tired of seeing, Boimler and Mariner and then Tendi and Rutherford. I'd like to see some more interaction between them. But yeah, we had 3 plots this week. We had the bridge plot, which is, as always in Lower Decks, is the least important of them. In this particular case, there was a salvage field that there was being some dispute over with an alien, and the Cerritos was trying to broker a peace for the salvage rights to this junk.
Yeah, and we never find out what it was, like why they even wanted it. Like
because it's Lower
know.
Decks, right? It's not important. That's something that's solved by somebody else. What I did find immensely humorous about this particular scene is that the captain of the alien ship was General Martok. It was the J.G. Hertzler is his name, or Hertzler. Anyway, he's the guy that plays General Martok on DS9. So it's like, I recognized his voice and looked it up in the credits. So I was just like, oh, it's General Martok.
That's the reason I didn't like the episode. I can't stand Deep Space Nine. That's totally it.
There you go. Also, problem solved.
I noticed another thing, and maybe this has been in other episodes, but one of the minor characters that you literally just see and don't hear anything from, that's a bridge crew person.
Yes.
Appears to be a Dax.
Yeah, a Trill.
A Trill.
Not
Thank you.
a Dax.
Not a
Trill,
Dax.
Yes.
A Trill. Damn it. My Star Trek cred.
Yes. So we had the salvage operation, which is the bridge crew. It got resolved by the end of the episode, which we'll tell you about in the other storylines. Unlike last week, all 3 storylines here kind of weave together. But the things that I found amusing was that the alien ship had no weapons, so they were just using their tractor beam and throwing the garbage at the Cerritos, just like slowly throwing rocks at it until its shields were drained. Also, when Captain, what's her name? Captain Freeman. There, thank you. I had to pull that out of my butt. Captain Freeman basically says, like, we're not fighting, and the alien dude was like, avoiding damage is fighting. It's like, anyway, those were the only 2 things I wrote down.
The security officer really wanted to start a war.
Yeah, what was that all about? Like, why are Bajorans?
Let's do it.
Yeah, why are Bajorans suddenly like these bloodthirsty, war crazed Klingon like beasts or whatever? It's like, wait, I thought you were all religious and stuff. Yeah, so that was what happened with the bridge crew, kind of a thing there. The main plot, which would kind of fall to the B plot here, would be around Boimler and Mariner and our brand new friend, Ensign Fletcher, who is not new to the show. We have seen him in other episodes. He's just never said anything before.
He reminds me, oh God, I'm not going to remember the name now. The guy who always had, I don't know that he reminds me of him so much, but the whole plot of the story
Yes.
reminds me of something that would have happened with that stupid guy.
Lieutenant Barkley?
Yes.
He is
him.
not stupid. How dare you call Reginald Barkley stupid, sir? Those are fighting words.
Love affairs with Troy in the holodeck, and
Yes,
like he
yes.
had those worm things take over his body, and
You
like,
do
at
know
one
that
point,
Reginald
and-
Barkley was instrumental in getting Voyager home, right? You do
That's
know
true.
that, with
Yeah,
the whole
yeah, I
Midas
know
array.
that.
But yes, it is very reminiscent of the time that Barkley merged with the computer in a freak accident in the and became like super smart.
Yeah.
It turned out that it was an alien infection, and it was the aliens that were wanting. That was how they explored the universe, is that they made people really smart to bring their ships to them. So, yes, but it was very reminiscent of that kind of. But there's another really weird throwback here, which is when they called the isolinear hub or whatever, the core for the shields, a backup of a backup that no one will care about. There was an episode of Deep Space Nine where O'Brien talked about, like, I always like to have a second backup. So that was a really weird. And we know.
Well, you should always implement the 3 backup strategy.
Right, but I'm
you're-
saying, if you remember a few episodes ago when we flashed to the future, Miles O'Brien is the most important man in Starfleet. So here
that's
we
true,
have,
yeah.
him clinging. Let's see. The thing about the Fletcher thing that I kind of wrote down here is that we finally get to meet the Delta shift. And we learn that Mariner and company are on the Beta shift, which I don't think we knew before this. We just knew that they were not on Delta shift. So we now learned that they are on Beta shift. I don't know what that means, what that matters.
So is Delta shift better than Beta shift?
I'm going to
or-
guess, Adam. I'm going to be a real geeky nerd here and assume that the shift rotations are based on a 24-hour day. And so let's say that they are basically 8-hour shifts that overlap with each other so that there's, 4 different shifts. So it's a 4-shift rotation, right? So therefore you'd have the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta shifts, basically. You'd have 4 shifts. So, but at one point, one of the delta shift guys said something like, which one of you quits forgetting to wipe down the diagnostic console or whatever? And I'm like, but wait, there's a shift between them. So it's like they're not right on
I don't think they
each
thought
other.
it through that much.
Yeah, I'm just saying a little inconsistency here. So we end up with Fletcher like trying to infect him, trying to get smarter from the computer, blaming the frickin' aliens for stealing the core.
Yeah, he says someone came up behind him and phased him or used a phaser on him and like knocked him out and then grabbed it and
that was another.
Anyway.
Didn't we have that really, really awkward Star Trek movie with when Kim Cattrall played a Vulcan and her whole proof that no one could have shot on the Enterprise was that any phaser discharge sets off an alarm on the ship. So it's like, how could he have gotten shot by a phaser? It would have set off an alarm on the ship. So.
Yeah, well, maybe, but we have seen many scenes where there's been phaser fire, like when things take over the ship and stuff like that.
Well, that's in combat situations. They're not going
yeah.
to. I'm just saying, and it's like just a random
Maybe-
pistol going off,
Maybe if they're already in red alert, because I think
which they
normally
weren't.
when they
Adam, which
right,
they were
right.
not. My point is, well, we knew he was lying, right? Because it turns out that he told us that he was lying. Whatever. I found it interesting that not interesting. I found it funny that Mariner basically uttered the line like, "That is so not Starfleet." It's just that was funny. Also, the fact that they just keep bringing up Q's every episode, and it's just kind of like, "Whoa, a Q showed up, and he beat us up and did
I
weird
read
Q things."
I read an article or something. I read something online. I don't know that said that Q may actually appear. Whatever his name is.
I would hope so. Yeah, John
appear.
Delancey. Yeah, I would hope that he would show up. He's been mentioned in almost every episode. Fletcher, the ensign Fletcher, they covered for him at the end and basically got him a promotion where he got promoted to the Titan. Do you know what is special about the USS Titan, Adam?
There's an American football team named the Titans.
No, but
It sounded familiar, but I didn't know. I don't know.
If you watch Star Trek Nemesis, the worst Star Trek movie ever made, that is the ship at the end that Riker assumes command. Riker is given command of the USS Titan, and Deanna Troi leaves the Enterprise to go and serve over on the Titan. So apparently Fletcher got assigned to Will Riker's ship, right?
And then fired.
and then fired 6 days later. Yeah, exactly. Also, I thought you'll have to go back and watch this just to check me, or if you're watching the video at home, if you saw this also, make sure you leave it down in the comments below. When they hung up with Fletcher after setting him up like that, both Boimler and Mariner did a little Vulcan salute as a chest bump. You know, like kind of like how, you put your hand over your heart like that pat.
Right.
But they did it with a Vulcan salute. So they were just doing the, like, yeah, we're too cool, kind of a gang sign there with the Vulcan things. I thought it was funny. So
I think I have seen them do that. One other thing that you can check for while you're rewinding the video, listeners or watchers of our recap, Mark noticed. Mark is like a big continuity catcher in all shows and movies.
Yes.
And so he noticed that the new guy who got fired from the Titan, I don't remember his name already.
Fletcher, yes.
He had been promoted and he had gotten a second pip.
Yes.
But on the video call, when he's telling them that he got fired, he only had one pip.
Well, presumably he got demoted.
Now, the thing is, though, but if he got fired, wouldn't you lose all your pips? Or
no, this
would
is
still
Starfleet.
have
This
two?
is Starfleet. You probably just would have gotten busted down in rank. I mean, you're not going to, what's money in the 24th century?
Well,
and
no,
let me just fall back to my standard answer to this, Adam. It's an animated show. it's going to have some problems.
Right.
So that's what basically
There's no
happened.
coffee in those cups.
That's right. Gosh damn it. Anyway, the third plot that happened this week was a real cute one between Ensigns Rutherford and Tendi. It takes place in the holodeck where, hey, good for Rutherford. He's actually using the holodeck for what it was designed to do, right? Let's do a spacewalk simulation, or let's do some training simulation exercises and whatnot. We're treated to the villain of the story, which is, of course, the holodeck creation known as Badgie, who seems a lot like Microsoft Clippy, but is shaped like a communications badge. And he is voiced by Jack McBrayer. I don't know if you picked up on that or not. So we have Badgie, who is offering them to show them something. Of course, anytime something happens in a holodeck, we have to have a malfunction where things go horribly, horribly awry. So Badgie becomes evil and is basically chasing after Tendi and Rutherford throughout the entire ship. So.
Yeah, there's a whole. I mean, I don't know. I just found that to be corny, and maybe that's why I didn't. I was just.
But I feel
take
like
on Clippy and.
Okay, but I feel like it was meant to be corny, right?
Yeah.
It was like we're parodying every Star Trek episode in the past that has had something stupid happen in the holodeck. It's like, honestly, if this was the 24th century, would you step in a holodeck? It's just like apparently you can just turn off the safety protocols. Like that's the thing that just happens.
Right.
You just turn off is like, that's the first thing that fails is the safety protocols. That doesn't sound right. That sounds like if I was designing a holodeck, I would want the first thing to fail to be something else, like the, air conditioning system or something, environmental controls, anything other than the safety protocols. But, It was a play on like how many Star Trek episodes over the years have just really kind of been bottle episodes inside the holodeck, right? Something has happened, and it's a way to tell a story without anything really going wrong. And if you think about it, this episode 6 of this series, is kind of the first episode that doesn't really tie into a larger story. Like this episode could really have taken place any point during the last 5 episodes. There's no.
So they filmed this one.
I'm just saying it's the definition of a Star Trek bottle show, right? It's like, if you'll remember Next Generation, there were numerous episodes that could have happened at any time because they had no bearing on things that happened before or after them. Yeah. Whereas, this episode I felt kind of was. So maybe in some kind of weird meta way, or maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I found it comforting that this was basically just a little bottle show. Like I said, my least favorite of the 6 episodes so far, but I'm still overall really enjoying this series.
Maybe that's part of the reason. I don't think I really liked, or not that I didn't like. I think in most TV shows, I tend to like better the episodes that tie into a larger arc.
Yeah.
And the way we watch TV nowadays is less self-contained. They tend to drag one story across an entire season. Yeah. And I really like that because you want to know what's happening next. So maybe that was part of it. I don't know. I just it's not bad. It's not like I hated watching it or anything, but I've definitely enjoyed it less than the other ones.
Yeah. And I feel like, It wasn't a horrible episode, but it was one that I don't necessarily need to watch a third time, right? It's like, I always, unlike Adam, I always watch the episodes twice so that I can write things down.
I watch them right before so I don't forget.
Anyway, if you want to hear us talk more about Star Trek, come back next week when we talk about Star Trek: Lower Decks, episode 7. Adam, you have anything else to add about this episode?
No, but if you want to listen to more of us talking about perhaps how a catfish might bite your toe, you can also listen to our podcast, mix-podcast.com,
wow,
which comes out every single week.
That is amazing. So, mix-podcast.com. It's almost as if we throw it on the screen just occasionally all during this episode. Also, you can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Daniel Brewer. He's at GeekyGayTV. And until next week, have a good one.
Oh, wait.